Hi folks, my name is Robert Alewine and this is my family. And we want to invite you to come out to our business. It's Alewine Pottery in Gatlinburg on Glades Road. We open about 9 o'clock and we have potters working. We have entertainment. We got music out here. We got popcorn. We got soft drinks. When the winter time, we got a fireplace. And you can talk to my people, and we've got a pretty nice product to show you. So come out and see us. We'd be glad to see you.
Y'all be sure and check out the Craftsman's channel.
Hi folks, my name's Robert Alewine and this is my little pottery business. I've been in business here since 1983 and we have a nice little shop. We have quite a bit of inventory to show you. I've got good sales girls. We have a lot of pottery. We have a lot of different kinds of pottery. We've got a lot with cutout work that have cabins and leaves and colors and bears and a lot of different mountain looking color. And we want you to come in and take a piece home with you that looks and reminds you of being in the mountains. We're open 6 days a week now. We're closing on Sunday, and we want you to come by and talk to my staff. I've got some friendly ladies that will be glad to help you in anything you want, show you things. We have dinnerware. We've got all functional work, and I have been referred to as a potter who makes working class art because we make all functional ware, things that you can use in the home. They're all oven proof. You can put them in the microwave. You can put them in the dishwasher, and we want you to use them. We have our St. Jude mugs that we have been showcasing for a while now. We're big in St. Jude in fundraising, and we have these mugs that we take the proceeds from to give to St. Jude Children's Hospital. We make a lot of lamps. Our lamp business has grown considerably over the last few years. And we have a lot of different scenery on the lamps that you can look at. One of our big pushes this year is our farmhouse white glaze. It has come on really strong, and I want you to come by. We have a good selection of it. One of the neatest things about having a business in Gatlinburg is we meet people from all over this United States. We meet them from all over the world, but we have got people who buy our pottery from every little town you can think of, every major city. We have got very good saturation in this country, and we have met some of the nicest people that you can imagine. They have really embraced us. And it gets like family after a while. And there's people coming in here and they want to show us pictures of all the pots of ours that they have. It really makes you feel good about coming to work every morning.
And then we put it in the kiln, and then after like 3 days it burns off. And then we ink that impression, and then we wax it, and then when we dip it in the glaze, it doesn't adhere.
Wow.
So that's how we get the impression, but they're all real leaves.
They're beautiful.
Thank you.
I need to bring a couple of those home.
Yeah. Thanks.
I actually have 2 of those from several years ago. And we use them every day.
They're
That's the best thing I ever bought.
Yes, and they hold up well, so.
They do, they do.
They work great. But we got all different colors, all different sizes, depending on, you know, what kind of shape and style you like.
Yeah. Every time we come to Gatlinburg, we always stop here because it's a must-see thing to do.
It is.
Where are you from?
We're from Cleveland, Tennessee.
Okay.
But we get up here quite a bit. So
We have a lot of our regulars that come
a lot of
every
the things
year.
in our house have come from this place.
Awesome.
Special. Yeah, I always wanted to try to get one.
Pretty.
They're pretty,
Really
very
pretty.
pretty.
Our mug business has just blown up in the last several years. We make more mugs than anything, and we sell a lot of mugs. We've got name mugs, we've got mugs with pictures on them, we've got little phrases on them, we've got all kind of mugs. It just blows my mind how many mugs we have to sell anymore. This is our dinnerware. This is our farmhouse white dinnerware selection. It is doing very well. It's all oven proof, microwave, dishwasher. The only thing we tell people is don't put it over 350 degrees. Other than that, wear it out. I sure hope you can come by and see us.
We who live so far apart that we rarely see more of one another than the blue smoke of each other's chimneys are never at ease without the feel of the forest on every side. Room to breathe, to expand, to develop, as well as to hunt and to wander at will. The nature of the mountaineer demands that he have solitude for the unhampered growth of his personality, wing room for his eagle heart. No one can understand the attitude of our Highlanders toward the rest of the earth until he realizes their amazing isolation from all that lies beyond the blue, hazy skyline of their mountains. There are still people who remember.
Seemed like man gets to thinking about it. We're always talking about the good old days. And you've heard the expression, we live back in the good old days. Well, that's right. It may be good old days 100 years from now. I don't know, looking now. But it ain't nothing like it used to be when I was a boy. Although we did hit it hard. You talk about money. Money is just about something that you didn't have. We had to work. We all depended on wood, too, up there. And there was no coal, there was no oil, there was nothing except firewood, you might say. So if a person got sick with the flu or got sick with something that he couldn't do his own wood getting, then we would all gather up and get him wood up, maybe enough to do him a week or so. Maybe in that time we'd hope that he would be out. Then when we'd come to our farming, we find that help one another with the crops. Then maybe if it's us, why, they would come with their horses and come with their plows and hoes.
To be a boy in Greenbrier, I didn't know at that time But I was born and raised up till I was 15 years old in the most beautiful place in the world to me, but I didn't know it at that time. But I realize it now and have for the last few years. When I had to move out of this park, I had a grudge, you know, for some time. But then I got over that when my eyes began to be opened. I began to wake up then to the beauty of the Great Smoky Mountain National Park that was once my home, and now I still cherish it as the grandest place on earth.
We eat 3 meals a day, of a morning at 6 and 12 o'clock of the day and 5 of evening, 5:30, something like that. I can do it on the fireplace where I can't do it on an electric stove, for I don't even know how to operate one. I guess if you had a stove, you could regulate it more, but if you're used to the fireplace, you can just regulate it too. If you're used to it, you're used to it. It's just like cooking on the stove, these women today. And I've cooked on that for years. Best food in the world. You use hickory wood, most of the time green wood, so you'll have hot coals. And heat controls, if you'll just fix it right and have plenty of hot coals, that's what you need. You can control it by pulling your stuff out here on the hearth. That's where you cook it, but you have your coals real hot. Well, I'm cooking cornbread, and it come from the farm, ground, made. And then my sweet potatoes, I raised them on the farm, and I boiled them and then put sugar on them and butter and baked them. And my dumplings, I go raise the hen and cut her head off with an axe, pick the feathers off and swings the hairs off, put her in the pot and boiled her. And I dropped my dumplings in. I made my dough, rolled it out, cut it in pieces, and dropped them in. And my beans, I raise them in the garden, bring them out, string them, hang them on the wall, and dry them. Then I soak them overnight and take my fatback meat, which we raise, and put them in the pot, and I boil them about 4 hours or till they get tender. So then I have hominy, which we grow the corn, and I take the drip lye out of the ashes I burn in my stove and skin these skins off. It takes several washings. And when I get that done, then I can can it or what for the winter. I guess he'd run me off if I didn't have beans about every day. Beans are... He don't like peas too good, so I'll just have to say we have to have beans about every day. Beans and potatoes is the main thing on the farm. If you ain't got that, why, you might have trouble. So then I have fruit cake, which I bake by my old recipe I always use. Gingerbread and dried apples that I dry myself on the farm. All of it's fixed there. I raise the pickles in the garden, bring them in, onions and cucumbers, pepper, and I slice them, put a cup of sugar and a cup of vinegar, and just bring them to a boil. Then they're ready. Only things I have to buy from the store is coffee, salt, and sugar, spices sometimes. I go to the mountain and dig my herbs, what I don't grow in the little patches. I grow golden seal, and The other just grows up in the holler, and I go get it. That's one thing, we've always had good stomachs. I think it's reasonable because we've been on the farm and raised it on the farm and cooked it and eat it there. I really think it's healthier that way. They never fail to eat. Everything is put on the table and nothing hurts him. You don't have to be a bit particular how you cook anything. Only just keep plenty of it cooked, especially cake. He eats his cake every time he comes through the kitchen. We have meat 3 times a day, most of the time. Of course, we don't have wild meat every day, but when it's good, we do. We have groundhog and squirrel and rabbit and pheasant and partridge or quail, whatever they call them. Fish. Well, we never did have too much bear meat. We have a smart of deer meat, but the bears somehow runs too fast. It's real good. Bear meat is awfully good. Now, groundhogs, you get them out of they go to eating roasting your corn in the fall. In the spring, they're not good because they eat too much green stuff. I have people to come to my house to get me to can for them, cook for them, and you can't learn them how. That's what gets me. They just don't want to learn, I guess. They just want you to do it for them. Some people you can learn how to do things, which I'd love to, and can, but people these days just don't seem to care. Or something, I don't know why. They think it's too much, I think, now. The young people would rather just go to the store and buy something, make a sandwich, than to get out there in the garden and pick it. And I've had a lot of people that I've made garden stuff and offered to give to, and they would not put it up. They just, I don't know, people are growing up today ain't interested like the old people was. They don't want to do it. I don't think I'd like what they do. They might not like what I do.
Are inking and waxing. It's a process when the leaf is taken off. We ink so you can see the veins in the leaf, and then she waxes over it so the glaze doesn't stick.
The process from start to finish for a piece of pottery is about 2 weeks. You have to have about a week of drying time, and in that time you can get your, we can put the design on, the leaf, image, or the medallion for the mugs, or Katie can do the carving, but it takes about a week to get the pot completely dry before we can fire it in the bisque kiln.
The mug's nice and smooth.
And then when it comes out, we have several steps that still need to be done. One is the inking and waxing process, and that just helps the image to pop out with the black glaze and helps the image to be able to stand out in the pottery with the wax so the glaze doesn't cover up the image. So that has to be done, and then we can move on to the glazing process. So once the pot is glazed and ready to go, it has to go through a second firing in the gas kiln. That takes about 12 hours. It's a hot firing at 2400 degrees, and it's the final step, and it's so exciting to open the kiln and see the new pots that have come out and the beautiful colors, and that's our favorite part. It's like Christmas morning, being able to see those pieces come out every time. So it's quite a process to get it done.
My name is Robert Alewine. I own Alewine Pottery, and I hope you can come by and see us. I've been potting for 32 years. If you like it, I made it, and if you don't like it, my wife made it. I'm 51. I've been potting since I was 19 years old. And it's just been a lifelong obsession with me. Connie's always said that even when I'm not at work, I'm still at work, because you get these shapes going on in your head, and you're always thinking about it. One of the things that we strive in our business is color. We spend an awful lot of time on color. And I'm what they call a copper red potter because I spend so much time trying to get good copper reds. I really try to make a beautiful shaped pot, a very graceful pot, and one that has life to it. We don't make duplicates of very many things. You might see one that is a really nice piece and you think, well, he could make me another one tomorrow, but it's really not that way. Most of what we make is just one-of-a-kind pieces. We try to make pottery that will make people think about the mountains. We put a lot of leaves that we collect from the area. We've been doing that for several years. We draw trees on them. We try to get color in our pots that you can see in nature. And we want you to take home a piece or a feel for the mountains with these pots. There's something about the Smoky Mountains that rubs off into your work, especially when you've lived here for a while. Your pots just sort of begin to reflect your surroundings. It's a lot of fun to know that we have pottery in every state of the Union and practically every country of the world. And it's just a real warm feeling to know that many people appreciate what we do. We moved here in 1983, and in the middle of January, and I think I had $1,500 to come up here and set up a pottery and get my family through the winter. We had 2 children, and I think back on that now, and it just amazes me that we even survived that winter. We kind of joke around about calling our work genuine Alewines, but in a way it's true because every piece is individual and it's got its own flavor. Even if I tried to make 2 pieces alike, they never come out alike. So we hope you can come by and buy a genuine Alewine.
Genuine Alewine! I have a genuine Alewine now.
I didn't tell her what to say.
When you're in the Gatlinburg area, I hope you'll have time to come by and visit me and my staff at Alewine Pottery. Hope you can come by. Thank you.
The directions to Alewine Pottery are very simple. Just 2 turns from downtown Gatlinburg and you're there. It's located in the Great Smoky Arts and Crafts community. At traffic light number 3 on the Parkway or Highway 441 in downtown Gatlinburg, turn and travel exactly 3 miles out Highway 321 north to Glades Road. At the traffic light at Glades Road, turn left and go 1.5 miles on Glades Road. Alewine Pottery will be on your left, where there's plenty of free parking. Just look for the red roof.
That was good. Now you put a little life into it.
I want him just to take a pan shot of the whole.
Am I looking at him or do I look at you?
Always look at me, dear.
Yeah. Looks like my granddad. Say me, Audrey. She ain't gonna be here.
And you can put bloopers in. That would be really cute.
No one planned it when Gatlinburg's arts and crafts community started in the beautiful Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee. In the early 19th century, a gathering of settlers formed a new community called the Glades. The Glades adjoined the towns of White Oak Flats, later known as Gatlinburg, Greenbrier, and nearby Pittman Center. The Glades was a subsistence farming community, so by necessity, locals applied their skills to make just about everything they needed for daily life. People of the Glades were weavers, quilters, broom makers, woodworkers, basket makers, carvers, and more. Nobody in the Glades really thought of themselves as a craftsperson or artist. They were just good at creating skillful items for everyday use. Some also made extras to trade with neighbors or after traveling 2 days on bad roads to sell in Knoxville. In the early 1900s, Gatlinburg was a small, humble settlement of 2 stores and 6 houses. The burg was a hub for about 200 families living nearby. Attitudes changed in 1912 when Pi Beta Phi fraternity started a settlement school in Gatlinburg. This new school encouraged locals to preserve their traditional crafts and skills. Once locals learned of arts and crafts, they saw their old creations in a new, intriguing way. What before was just a useful pot, broom, chair, or basket now started looking like a valuable item. In 1925, the first actual craft shop was opened in downtown Gatlinburg by Allie Owenby, daughter of E.L. Reagan, a furniture maker from the Glades. In 1926, the aircraft shop opened. As more shops opened, the Glades and nearby communities began producing handmade items to sell. Visitors started arriving, new people who appreciated fine workmanship and real beauty. And they were eager customers who would buy local handmade items. A cottage industry in the Glades grew in the 1930s as local arts and crafts won recognition outside the valley. Noah McCarter made and sold ladderback chairs and rocking chairs from a shed behind his log home. Next door, his sister, Mary Owenby, built chairs, did weaving, and made rifles. Cora Watson set up a loom on her front porch with a sign saying, "Weaving for sale." She built up a steady mail-order business, too, hiring neighbors and their daughters to weave. A number of women did weaving in their homes, with the shops in Gatlinburg. And students of O.J. Matilde, who taught woodworking at the settlement school, soon opened their own woodworking shops. Lee Ogle opened a broom shop on Glades Road. Don Cowden was already selling his wood carvings to Hattie Ogle of her Bearskins craft shop in Gatlinburg. She convinced him to open his studio to the public so customers could visit the Glades and see him work. About then, members of many local founding families who still live today around the Glades got involved in producing arts and crafts. Their old, long-preserved family skills were revived and rekindled. In 1934, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park was established. The park brought highway access across the mountains from North Carolina, and better access meant more customers for local arts and crafts. Good customers now came regularly to the Glades to meet craftspeople and to shop for authentic crafts. The exact idea of the Great Smoky Arts and Crafts community occurred in 1937 when Carl Husky opened his village craft shop. People of the Glades all joined together as a community. They used a card rack to advertise their crafts and help visitors find their shops. Marion Mangrum, a local grocer who owned a printing press, fixed up the first map and rack card for them. So the arts and crafts community was finally born. In 1942, things changed. When World War II struck, most craft activity stopped. But after the war, the tourists returned. Local men came home and reopened their businesses. The Glades began growing again. Artisans were attracted to the Glades by visiting the park and attending local craft shows. They saw the beauty of the mountains and potential customers for their creations. These artists and craftspeople, old and new, worked together to promote the shops and studios of the arts and crafts community. In 1978, the Great Smoky Mountains Arts and Crafts Association was officially formed with 28 charter members. Today in the Glades, many community members are third and fourth generation craftspeople or related family members of that original group. Today the community is an avenue of arts and crafts where visitors browse, chat, and see one-of-a-kind pieces created before their eyes. The Great Smoky Mountains Arts and Crafts community is the oldest and largest group of independent artisans and craftspeople in the United States. In 1999, the foundation was designated as an official project by Save America's Treasures. Now we must act. We must preserve this heritage of arts and crafts.
Folks, we've decided to start closing our business on Sunday. We like to go to church, and we want our employees to have a day off that they can go to church and that they can spend with their families.
So y'all come see us Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6, and enjoy your stay in our Great Smoky Mountains. So in addition to Audrey's spoon rest that we make to sell for raising money for St. Jude, we also make these Hope for St. Jude mugs that we just love. I absolutely love them. And all of the profit from each mug goes to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And also, our sweet Georgia Kate has made these designs for mugs that she has drawn herself, and a portion of the sales of these mugs also go to St. Jude. So she has made some really sweet designs. She's our little artist in the family. She loves to draw. She is drawing anytime she gets a chance, and she has just come up with the cutest designs to put on these mugs. So we are in the process of getting more of her little designs on there. She's worked on a sunflower. She's made a snowman. She has the rose that you saw before. So we just love being able to encourage her and her artistry, and love the designs that she's come up with.
Hill people started with what they found. They cut logs to build cabins and split shingles to cover the roofs. Then they settled down, locked in the mountains for a century and a half. It's no wonder today's children are close to the old ways. Sometimes very close. In all his days, John McDowell has never had a spoonful of white sugar on his table. His daddy left him a sorghum press, and he makes his own sweetening. John himself feeds the sorghum cane into the press, and his old mare has been circling round John as long as I can remember. I had to smile when he told me the press was sparched on from an iron foundry way yonder in Ohio, and it was 20 days a coming as it rode the last spell on the back of a mule critter. John's wife, Lucy, strains the squeezings through a patch of burlap. She makes the best cornbread for miles around, and her man makes the best sweetening. The steam rises up like mist off a mountain and sweetens the air in the clearing. John's brother, Herman, stirs the sweet juice while it boils in the pan and gets thicker by the stir. Makes me almighty hungry when I'm near it. If a man wanted a chair to sit on, he made it himself. And his womenfolk wove the seats from corn shucks. The hill woman made all the family's clothes. Time was when store-bought things flooded the mountains and folks were ashamed to own homemade things. Then the tourists came into the highlands and carried on about the old-timey quilts and the home-forged ironwork. So the loom and the forge came back to life. I like to see the shuttle and the bellows in the hands of a mountain girl or boy, because I know there's a naturalness in it. And it's something they'll always remember. The way they'll remember the easy-come rhythm of an old-fashioned mountain square dance.
Big ring, circle there. And round and back. Swing her up to late. That one. Odd couple, dance out, 4 hands across. Ladies bow, gents no high. Opposite swing. Now your partner.
About a big catfish that was down under, an old car went out through a bridge and they couldn't get it out. And it'd been in there 30 or 40 years. And I went down to look at it and saw this big catfish. went and got some gear and got a hold of it and run it up down that creek, a couple hours, give out. Thought I was going to get it there. Back in the line, and it got loose. Got in that car and rolled the window up and locked the door.
Mama said don't go near that river. Don't be hanging round no catfish jar. Come the morning, I'd always be there, walking in his footsteps in the sweet Delta dawn.
A new kind of music has come to the Southern Highlands, the hum of electric generators, echoing back into the farthest valley. Men harnessed the rivers and strung wires across the peaks and valleys, bringing cheap power to a land of kerosene lamps and long back muscles. Power for new industries, new jobs for the people of the hills. The music came too late for the old and weary, but it's a tonic for young people just starting out. Sue White told me last week she means to buy an electric stove. Sue is kindly persistent when she sets her heart on something. Her daughter is too. I know. She's one of my pupils. New ideas in farming came along with the power lines and light bulbs. A mountain farmer years ago planted according to spells of the moon. When his land wore out, he cleared some more. He knew there was something wrong, but that was the way his father did it. All that is changing. Now he can talk things over with the county farm agent and the federal government's farm advisor. He learns how to grow tobacco, how to start the young plants in a sunny patch and harvest the crop in the early fall. Tobacco puts cash in his pocket for necessities that he can't grow or build. He hears about plowing a furrow along the contours of a sloping land so the rain won't wash away the good topsoil. And he lets machines do more and more of his work. That way he gets more done and doesn't feel so tired when the sun goes down. He learns the sense of rotating crops, growing cover crops to be plowed under, so the soil he farms today will be rich and sweet for his sons. It used to be that a tree was cut down if it was in the way. Now the Highland farmer protects his woodlot and thinks of his lumber as a crop. It's a new idea with him. He takes care of the forest, and the forest takes care of him. These proud old mountains have a way of strutting over us and bossing us around. But we're beginning to talk back now. Every chance I get, I go and visit with kinfolk of youngsters I have in school. Because old and young, I try to make them understand that we've all got to go along together if we're going to get anywhere at all. Our people love this land. They mean to stay here until the mountains tumble into the valleys. But they need no longer be slaves to the mountains if they listen to the music of the future, the hum of dynamos and the machines. A poet once said that something in a hill child dies when he goes down to level land. We all know that the Highlands are a little bit poorer for every child who goes away from them. My dream is to make life worth the struggle in the highlands. That's why I feel easy in my mind when night comes on the mountain and I hear my neighbor singing the old ballads to his grandchildren.
In a summer morning, first they'll appear and then are gone. Do you remember yon green mountain where you and I first fell in love? The little birds would sing so sweetly, even to those little...
I know a good man is helping me make my dream come true, helping me hold the hearts of these young Americans closer and closer to home.
Folks, we've decided to start closing our business on Sunday. We like to go to church, and we want our employees to have a day off that they can go to church and that they can spend with their families.
So y'all come see us Monday through Saturday 9 to 6 and enjoy your stay in our Great Smoky Mountains. The online store is essentially its own gallery because since each of our pieces are handmade and unique, we take a photo of an item and put it on the online store, and that is what you purchase. We make sure to carefully wrap the product and ensure that it is delivered to you safely. And you are getting that piece that you see in the photo. So it's a great way to be able to still connect with our customers. We are so happy to be able to provide that service and to still ship pottery all over the United States. So when you are not able to come to the shop, you can still look at the online store. We try to keep it well stocked with a wide variety of the things that we offer in the main store. So Amy and I work hard to make sure that you get all the options, and if of course if you ever need anything, you just call the shop and we're happy to help.
Keep watching the Craftsman's channel on My Smokies TV.